Team, I've had a lot of comments about people's approach to SHTF, or the end of the world as we know it. And there's a commonality in a lot of these responses that would suggest that if it was a 48-hour, 2-week natural disaster, maybe it was in response to earthquake, a flood, hurricane, fire, things of this nature, that people have no problems with community. But if it was a true paradigm shift and it was the end of the world as we knew it, these same people would say that I'm going to go after it alone, right? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm going to tell you why. So these folks think that you shouldn't advertise your capabilities, which I don't disagree with, right? They would suggest that doing so opens you up for risk that you may not otherwise want to, or at all in the first place, assume, right? And that's an important piece of this, right? What kind of risk are you assuming with the actions that you're taking? The problem is, as far as I can tell, that A, no man is an island, and B, history has proven to us, even in this country, that if you go after it alone, you're not going to make it. I don't care how badass of a survivalist that you think that you are. You need more than just you. Now, maybe that more than just you is a small group. Maybe it's a small knit group. What's up, bud? You gonna let me throw it? Or maybe it is a larger community. Maybe it's everybody in your valley. Maybe it's everybody on your block. Maybe it's a few people. But whatever it is, you need more than just you. And if we look back through history, we're going to see, we'll take it back to 1820s and 30s at the height of the beaver trade. There's this lore about the mountain men that people believed that they were off trapping and surviving by themselves. But that's not the case. You see all these guys who are working for a company, and they would send out expeditions of 40 to 60 men, 60 to 80 pack animals. You need all of these people for everything from self-defense as well as just to sustain life, because somebody has different tasks that they need to get done. And they moved from place to place, and that's going to be a key element for another group that is much more recent, that has proven that if you go after it alone, you're going to die cold, wet, and hungry. You see, these mountain men, they would go up and down these rivers, staying close to these bodies of water, A, because that's where the beaver was that they were trying to get, but also because that was a form of navigation that they were using, right? Fast forward a little bit more to like the Oregon Trail, which moved through some treacherous terrain. Some of it far away from resources. And here again, though, you have groups of dozens and dozens of individuals and families who are moving together in order to find a way to survive. And even they had a hard time with it, right? We don't laugh and joke about the Oregon Trail and have a game that nobody can beat for a reason. And even the mountain men, so many of them perished due to medical conditions, due to dealing with the Indians, as well as the wildlife. That's why I got rigs. But fast forward a little bit more and you have this television show called Alone. And in this show you have a dozen or so folks going out to some pretty wild terrain and going after it alone with some minimal supplies. Pretty much what they can carry on their back. I know they say only 10 items, but obviously they have more than 10 items. Now the key difference here is they're kind of stuck. They're isolated in a particular location. And they can't move based off of the resources that they find or wish that they had. But in this we can see that even just after 30 days of going after it alone, a lot of them tap out. Now that's the easy button to tap out, right? If you're not going to let me get it, I can't throw it. But you look at the guys that win. What kind of shape are they in? How physically fit are they from going after it alone? And these aren't geeks off the street. Right? Everybody who goes on these shows has had some kind of vetting. They've had to demonstrate that they can handle themselves out into the wild, that they can hunt, trap, do some basic survival tasks when it comes to affecting food, fire, water, shelter, first aid, navigation, communication, self-defense, maintaining a core body temperature. And even then, they go to basically a little boot camp and says, here's what you need to know about this area, right? Here's what you need to know about what you're going to encounter here, specifically when it comes to wildlife, plant and the fauna. Here's your resources that you have available. Here's the things you need to watch out for. And yet after 30, 60, 90 days, these dudes are thin as rails and hanging on by a thread. Why? Because they're going after it alone. Yes, because they can't move to different areas around them to find better resources. But because they are going after it alone is probably the single biggest contributing factor for these guys' demise. You getting it? I think you got it, bud. Yeah, you do. Team, you can't go after survival by yourself. Whether it's just you and your family, an extended family, a small group of community, a tribe that you have, not everybody is a master at everything. Some of us are really good at a lot of things and experts at nothing, right? But in your group and in your community and in your kit bag, you need people who do know how to farm, people who do know how to do electrical work, people who do know how to weld and fabricate wood and metal structures. You need people who do know how to hunt and fish and trap and process food and can food. You do need people who are astute tacticians. You need people who know how to communicate, and by using HF radio systems and getting links in so that you can maintain comms. You need people who know how to organize logistics and sustainment operations. You need people that are medically trained, who know how to handle things when shit goes sideways and it's just you in this situation and there is no going to a doctor or ER. And you don't just need these things for when this paradigm shift happens. And if we all are reading the tea leaves, we know that it's coming. You need it now. because life happens. And if you're not building community now, it's going to be too late then. Just like Riggs says, if you don't throw this stick now, it's going to be too late then. Well, get it, bud. Where's your stick? That's a good boy. Look. I know, we probably should have gone for a walk first, huh? So how do we build tribes? I'll tell you what I'm doing here in this area. I'm driving around. I'm brand new here, right? I don't know anybody. And so I'm looking at what are people doing, right? So I stopped by a couple stores in town to kind of gauge some folks and see what they're all about. I stop by when I see signs that says honey, local honey, sold here. I stop by different campsites, stop by the rangers. There's a scout camp not too far where this guy's been, leading small groups here for a long time. And I go and I talk story, and I listen to story. I go and I talk to some mechanics and see what they're all about. Some of these guys have been here in this area for a long time. And now they may not be part of my tribe, and I'm not advertising who I am. I don't walk around saying, yo man, I'm Stoker from Stokermatic. Certainly you've heard of me. A, because I know that they haven't. But B, until I know and have that level of trust, like I'm not out there advertising myself any more than probably you all are either. I'm responding to emails and messages saying we'd like to get some community going. And pretty soon I will start advertising some local events. Maybe we'll start off with some ruck marches. Bring your kid out. It's a free event. Let's go for a ruck and talk story and chow down on some food, get to know each other a little bit more. I'm going to stop by and talk to all kinds of folks that are tradesmen, all the local nurseries, some of the small farms that are family owned and operated. And I'm going to do this for a couple reasons. One, I want to get to know them and what their experience has been here and what they're doing for their own community at large. And B, I want to learn more about what they have learned so that I don't make the same mistakes that they have made. And if things prove themselves out, then maybe that invitation of community will get extended a little bit deeper. And then we can start talking about what happens when everything changes. Bub, that stick has gone to hell. Team, I'm looking forward to your thoughts and your comments down below about building community, about going after it alone or not. Down in the comments below as we continue to master our craft and develop our tactical virtue. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.